All right, welcome back. We will reconvene into open session at 5:59. And there is no action to be reported on that was taken at closed session. We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we're on item 5A, comments and announcements by board members. Sandra, do you have any comments or announcements?
Well, I had the past couple of last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of educators coming to my place of business and restocking their classroom supplies. So it's always a lot of fun to talk to them and find out what's going on in their classrooms. I love that.
All right, thank you.
It's been fun.
Jessica Anthony, do you have anything to comment or report on?
Hi. The past couple weeks, the schools have gone through a little bit of scheduling changes to accommodate parent-teacher conferences and additional staff training. And as a parent, things went pretty smoothly. My kids were definitely excited to have additional minimum days out of those things. Parent-teacher conferences were a success. I see that a lot of effort is being put in by many of our staff members, and our students are happy to be at school. So that's a positive note. I'd like to remind everybody to always have the idea of quality over quantity, even when we are working with our children. So if that's a message that we can maybe pass on coming into this season of giving and gratitude, quality over quantity. And also I'd like to just say that I've been volunteering in first grade, and that's been a blessing and a pleasure. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill LeGrand.
I have nothing to report. I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and hope they enjoy their time away and their time with family.
Thank you. And Lisa Torres.
I as well have nothing to report. Just happy Thanksgiving to all, and
Call it good night.
and that they be blessed with their families.
Thank you. I just would like to report quickly that I enjoyed visiting some of the school sites at Halloween with Dr. Holtum and in our costumes. We had a lot of fun, and I went to Ophir and Wyandotte, and just seeing the kids and staff in costume, and that strong sense of community and having fun together was an enjoyable experience. So thank you for inviting me. And Dr. Holtum.
Yes, I wasn't going to report on Halloween, but I did have a very good time dressing up as Gru, and I think I was pretty successful. Most people didn't recognize me, which is my goal. I did want to update the community. There was a lockdown at studios at Central today. We did get a call from a parent with a possible threat that was done through social media. We immediately went into lockdown as a extreme precaution because there was some semblance of a threat with a gun, but it was very ambiguous and very vague. But we went into a lockdown to just double check everything. We were able to contact the owner of the social media post, and we were able to verify that there was no imminent threat and that it was just middle schoolers posturing, doing different things. OPD definitely was involved. We take all types of threats very seriously. And I work with our SRO to work with that family. And again, we take the safety of our students and staff very seriously. And when we go into lockdown, sometimes they're at various levels of seriousness, but we always take them serious. And it does alarm people at times, and we understand that. But we want to make sure that our kids are always safe. That'll buys us time to investigate the matter. And then after about 20-25 minutes today, maybe a little bit longer, we were able to verify that it was not a credible threat. But we immediately did call OPD, and they were on the scene very quickly when the threat was shared. And we followed our protocols. Our staff and students did a great job, and we appreciate our parents also being very vigilant. And that's what I'll share on that. Board, if you have other questions, I'm happy to discuss a little bit more. This is typically not where we do it, but I always want to be transparent with our community, especially when it comes to threats to our campus. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you for taking that seriously and following through to make sure our students and staff are safe. All right, Andrew, James.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'll start with that. I want to take the opportunity to thank all the people working on the salary increases that the board approved. I know that my entire staff have been working hard on making those changes and also preparing for the audit, which is next week. So I just wanted to thank the business office for all the kind of everybody's hands are in the pot, everybody's on deck type of teamwork that's going on right now.
Thank you. Janet Henley.
Good evening. So I'd like to do a shout out to Amy Hubbard. She's done a great job of bringing an electronic positive behavior system to our middle schools. She's been working with campus supervisors closely over at ISHE, and now she's moving over to the studios and helping the studios. Campus supervisors, we did a district-wide training with them, and just a shout out to them. They work really hard. They try really hard. And it's sometimes a thankless job for them, and but yet they hang in there, and we're working with them on great strategy. So I want to thank them for their efforts, and I also want to thank teachers. We've been going out and being in classrooms to watch the circles and seeing how well they're developing sense of community in their schools and in their classrooms. And I just think the teachers have done a super good job of embracing the restorative practices and the circles. So shout out to the teachers. So thanks. And then for announcements, I forgot. November 30th, we have our supportive school climate committee at 6:00. We're having dinner, and we're going to be over at Central at the studios in room 24. And we start at 6:00 with dinner, and then 6:30 is the meeting. So if you're going to come, it'd be helpful if you'd give Shannon an email. So just we have a number count, and you're welcome to come join us. We tried to do that Zoom last time. This time, I think we're going to try to do in person because we had some challenges with that. So I want to do it in person. Dr. Holtum wanted us to do dinner. So we're trying to get everybody in for a nice community and build community better that way.
6:00 on the 31st.
Most
Did I
of the
say
board
that?
members will be gone that week at the School Board Association.
Oh, you leave on the 30th?
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. We can change it. We can put a note out to the community, and we can change it so you guys can be there, because I know you like to be a part of that group. So I'll try to see if I can move it 2 weeks later, or maybe 1st of January, because holidays, people don't like to come out. So maybe I'll just shift it, and then we'll add another one in the year. Okay. And then that way you guys can be a part. It's going to be a good meeting. Because we're really going to introduce restorative practices. That we have a video so people can see what it really looks like, and kind of what the big picture is. And then we'll talk about what we're doing to help our schools move in that direction. So I think you would really enjoy it. So I'll work with you. We'll get it addressed.
That would be
We
great.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
Janet, this is a public meeting, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Anybody is welcome.
So
We
I
do
and
They
I
could,
would just like to push on, making sure that that is pushed out to our community in every avenue that we can figure out how to push it out so that it's well aware and hopefully gain more attendance on those things.
yes, we will do that. I think we had planned that we were going to start this week getting more flyers out, and we're excited because we do have some more parents that have specifically committed to coming. So we're excited about that. And you're right, we do want the whole community and we do want to grow it. So I will, Jessica, make sure that we do the multimedia and the flyers and the ed joints and all of the different ways that we communicate, and adding in the social media piece. And we'll have a meeting in January, and then I'll just add other meetings. Okay, so we'll shift it.
Thank you. Kimberly Tyler.
So Holly Gutierrez, Director Holly Gutierrez, and myself held a special education instructional assistant job fair last Thursday. We're happy to report that we had 6 applicants. We were able to hire 1 person the day of the job fair, and we hired 2 more on Monday. We have 3 more that we'll interview as soon as they pass the CODESK test. We really want to give a shout out to Sandra Christofferson for all the work that she put into it. We coordinated with her. She printed out the practice tests. She had the entire place set up for us when we got there, including laptops that were open. She made a special link on EdJoin that was very streamlined for applicants. We are also planning another one on January 25th, and we're going to do increased advertising with that one. With this past one that we just did, we handed out flyers at parent teacher conferences. So it was basically, here's your report card, here's a flyer for the job fair. So we're going to look at different ways to advertise it in January. And we're also looking at what it would take to open that up to more of the open positions and vacancies that we have in our district.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Kimberly, can you report real quickly on the CPI training last week?
I did not attend the CPI training last week, but apparently there were over 20 people that was handled by Director Holly Gutierrez, and she said it was very well received and it went very well. She also said that the studios had 2 band events that went very well and their first dance.
And what is CPI?
Crisis Prevention Intervention. It is a crisis response training that helps all staff in the ability to detect when a student is starting to escalate in behaviors and steps to take to help de-escalate the student, and also to prevent any injuries to the staff member or the student. This is a very important training for all of our staff. We are also making it not only available to all of our staff, we asked this year that it be mandatory.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to comments by the public. So at this time, the board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on matters which are school related. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Comments or questions may also be emailed to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments and questions received will be read into the record and or addressed during the meeting. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be shared during the meeting. Do we have any comments or questions at our email?
No, we do not.
Okay, and do we have anyone with a raised hand online?
No, we do not.
Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak at this time? No. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6. Action item. No, that was the action item. We will move on to, where am I at? I'm sorry. Comments by the public. Oh, no, public comments on action items. So now we will move on to extending an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are listed on the agenda. For those attending remotely, use the raise your hand button. Comments can be emailed to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name. And Comments received that pertain to items listed on the agenda will be read into the record during this time. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be read. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board to discuss or take action on any item that is not on the posted agenda. Do we have any emails on this item?
No, I do not.
Okay. Any raised hands?
No.
Online? And then any comments from the public? No. All right. So we'll move on to 7. I have missed my consent agenda. Is there any discussion or questions on the consent agenda from the board? Okay, is there a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda?
A motion to approve the consent agenda?
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the consent agenda items? Okay, it's a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda items. All in favor say, oh, no, I'm going to do a
Okay.
roll call for the vote. So Sandra Barnes? your
Aye.
vote? Sorry. Should have stapled my pages because now I'm all mixed up here. Okay. Jessica Anthony,
Yes.
Bill LaGrone,
Yes.
Lisa Torres.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's a motion has been approved with 5 yes votes. Okay, new business. Adopt revised 22-23 school calendar. This is not item 8A. Is it not on yours?
Yeah, adding some minimum.
This is
days.
adding in some minimum days because we wanted to do some staff development training. And so we did a round in November and there's a round that's coming in February as well. So we have extra minutes in essence when we submit to the State Department. And so we were still well within our minutes. And so we wanted to do 2 trainings with staff when we had our consultant come.
How will this affect transportation?
Well, it doesn't affect transportation at all because they aren't coming any sooner. So what we have done is we have worked with after school to get daycare provided for the parents who can't pick up. And then we do have a SPED that we have teachers that stay back and they stay with the kids until they're picked up because it's regular pickup time, even on a regular minimum day.
Thank you, Janet, for picking that up.
Yeah. No problem.
I have a question. What was the most recent training regarding? What was the topic?
We had a consultant, Laura Muyman, who was in our district. And during the daytime, she went to the different classrooms and she modeled how to do circles. And a lot of the teachers were interested in how do you do the circles when the students aren't on task. And then in the afternoon, what she did is she furthered the work in deepening their understanding of restorative practices. So they started to practice the restorative questions that you ask when a student is having a difficult time. And they have 4 questions. And so she had the staff start practicing that so they could see what it's like as an adult to answer the questions. And then the next time she comes out, they'll take it a step further and they'll be working on some scenarios. So we have BCOE that will provide some scenarios and staff will practice how to respond in certain scenarios. So it's practicing the restorative practice questions is what she focused on.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion from the board?
I just want to provide just a moment of clarity on this so that anybody that just reads the agendized item that says there's 6 additional minimum days, that doesn't mean at each site. That's, 2 at each site. So it's not like they're getting 6 additional half days of work. I mean, so I just want to be clear on that because when I first read it, I went, holy smoke, that's a lot of half days. And then I took the trouble of actually reading what was given me. And I just want to make sure everybody is aware of what's actually happening.
No comment.
All right, is there a motion to approve to adopt the revised 22-23 school calendar.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion or questions from the board?
So half of this has already taken place, so we're only approving the minimum days for February.
Correct. It's almost a housekeeping item at this point.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. We will do a voice call on that. So Sandra Barnes,
Aye.
Jessica,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
I'm a yes. So motion carries with 5 yes votes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5B, approve memorandum of understanding with the California School Employees Association, Schufelt.
So this is moving one employee from a part-time or half-time grounds maintenance worker and part-time maintenance apprentice to full-time grounds maintenance worker. It's part of a larger discussion and plan we're working with to keep our grounds nice and well-maintained. And we're also looking at another position to add to replace the half-time maintenance apprentice that we're still negotiating. And the employee is on board with this change, so.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve this
So
MOU?
moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, so the motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding with the CSEA. And Sandra, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jessica,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
I'm a yes. So motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, we'll move on to item number C. I will be recusing myself from this item. Sandra, you will take over, please.
So item C.
At this
Sorry.
time, we'd like to
Oh, sorry. You got that one?
bring forward the ratified tentative agreement to the Oroville Teachers Association for 22-23 extracurricular stipends.
So the district negotiation team met and worked with OETA to reach a tentative agreement to increase and change some language as it pertained to our stipends for after-school sports and other items that take place around the school site. We had a very good session with them. We changed some of the language and increased our stipends to be more competitive and to follow our collective bargaining agreement.
Do we have any questions or comments concerning this item? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Jessica, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Having a moment.
I
think the
call her
kid-
Lisa.
The cookie, thank you. The cookie hit me all at once. Sugar. Lisa, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote aye. The motion carries. Just woke up.
Okay, we'll move on to item D to adopt resolution 22-2304, the school bus set aside.
That's you.
So it is recommended that resolution 22-2304, resolution authorizing participation in the HVIP public school bus set aside for small and medium air districts be adopted as presented. This has to do with our school buses and receiving funding that we do with the high school district.
Is there any questions or comments from the board?
I don't understand this one.
That's what I was gonna say.
Are we setting aside money for more ecologically sound buses, like electric buses, or
This has to do with,
what is this set aside?
so the high school district is the one applying for the different bus incentives. But they have to have our authorization to use our eligibility for our students because they're still our students. And so this is one of the things that they were sending through is that, hey, here's an agreement where they're applying for something for buses. I don't think I have all the specifics about exactly what it is that they want, but they're going to be using our eligibility to do it.
And what's important about this is the fact that they can use our ADA numbers to apply for
Okay.
grants and things of that nature so that they become, we combine our two ADAs, which are our two populations together to apply and get granted bigger or awarded bigger amounts of money. And it has to do with their funding, and they need our permission or the board's permission to use our students, our name, things of that nature.
That makes sense. And I appreciate that they need our approval to apply for things, but I'm just curious about this one specifically. It's HVIP public school bus set aside. I don't really know what that is. If we could get some additional information on that, I think would be helpful for us to approve it.
I believe it's a clean air grant where, because, because the medium or smaller medium air districts, I think what they're referring to is clean air, where we're transitioning from fossil fuels to more green energy for the buses. Because some of the new buses I've seen have the blue bumpers on, which indicate they're electric vehicles. So I believe that's what this grant is indicated for.
Right.
And
And it is a grant program. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, good.
There was 130 million set aside for eligible school buses to be replaced
Great.
with clean air vehicles. So that's what that is.
Good.
And sorry that we're not as prepared as we should, because this is through the high school district, but this is absolutely has to do with the electric buses and the eligibility for electric buses. One of the things that, just for a side note, is that electric buses, although they're the thing of the new wave, a lot of districts are experiencing some setbacks with electric buses because they can only go a certain amount of distance, and they also can be a little difficult to use up in some of the hillier areas of Oroville. We still have to use gas buses to go into the hills, Forbes-town and things like that, because they just don't have the feasibility to do that. But again, this is all about the high school district using getting our permission to apply for such grants, and those grants have to do with the Clean Air Act and electric buses primarily.
Right. Yeah. And looking at the qualifications, it's for buses that are 2007 or older will be replaced, either entirely paid for with this grant or mostly paid for with the grant. So
Like the
Good.
Fords.
and that ultimately saves us money
Right.
because we also participate in paying for any buses they purchase, and we always have. So we appreciate when they go out and get grants because it saves both of us a lot of money.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution 22-2304.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Sandra Barnes, sorry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jessica Anthony,
Yes.
Bill LeGrand?
Yes.
Lisa Torres?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so motion carries with 5 yes votes. All right, item E, to approve the consultant agreement with Stampanoni.
So Lauren Albert, who is our principal at the studios at Central, has come to me asking that we be able to hire a consultant to come in and support her visual and performing arts after school program by bringing someone from the community who is more of an expert in this area to help support, guide, and direct some of our programs that are directly associated with the vision of the school. This contract won't be any larger than it's $45 an hour. There's a calendar associated with this that has to do with the after school. We'll be using ELOP money, that's extended school day money, to pay for this. and it won't exceed, I believe, $5,400 for the year.
Any questions or comments from the board?
As the consultant and not an educator as such.
So Lauren has done most of the work with this person, but this person is very well known for her experience in the theater and as well as dance. And so we're trying to bring in people from the community that are content experts to help provide our teachers with support in the developing these programs in our schools.
Okay.
If I could add, when we were writing the vision for that school, one of their thoughts was to really have artisans because they bring a completely different perspective in a way than our educated arts people. So the goal is really to bring in some artisans and get their perspective and support.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consultant agreement for Stampanoni?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and Sandra Barnes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jessica Anthony,
Yes.
Bill LeGrand,
Yes.
Lisa Torres,
Yes.
and I am a yes, so motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item F, adopt revised board policies.
Okay, so I take my cue. So we have 2 board policies on the agenda. One of them has to do with independent study. In independent study, the rules have changed dramatically these last 3 years. They've had a lot of shifts and changes. So this particular draft that we have tonight is addressing the changes for this year. So I'm hoping it'll stabilize, but so the changes that you see in that is a reflection of all the state changes that have been made. And then the other one, Dr. Holtum is going to speak to.
So several months ago, Bill LeGrand, one of our board members who also happens to be our police chief, came to me and we're talking about Narcan. Narcan is an opioid overdose medication that can be administered when somebody is overdosed on opiates or fentanyl or things like that. It's very commonplace within the police department and emergency services. And we talked about having that availability on our campus, that if we ever had a student that overdosed on opiates or ever came in connection with fentanyl, that we would have Narcan on site to revive this person. I've worked with our school nurse on this, and she is 100% behind this. She has reviewed the board policy, and it aligns very well with the standard practices currently. About half of our districts in Butte County already have a very similar board policy where they have it on site. If my biggest question that I had for our nurse was, what if they're having some kind of other medical emergency and we administer Narcan? It has no side effects and no ill effects on the individual. We are looking at, there's 2 types of ways to administer it to people or to students. One is through the nasal and one is through more of an EpiPen type situation. We're looking at just getting the nasal because it's a lot less evasive, and I think a lot easier to train and prepare our staff to be able to administer.
Any questions or
yeah.
comments from the board?
I just like to thank for Janet for adjusting the independent study and revising the independent study board policy. I've had a lot of conversations with the high school level. And the one that I really appreciate is the beginning piece where it says that all students are have the rights to equal treatment and curriculum across the board. So that's been a bit for me. I was a little bit concerned about part of the meds monitoring health, not so much the fentanyl piece, but so much the administration of medications.
And so we looked at that very closely with our with our nurse and had her review that. She also discussed at length with the Chico nurse, Chico Unified Nurse, as it pertains to this policy. And I don't know specifically which area you're speaking to, but
So specifically in it, it details pretty much anyone who is named parent and or guardian to administer medications can, just based on, yes, I am the guardian and I can give my child medication and I'm giving this person permission to all the same, to do the same in my absence, without background check, without any kind of questioning of any kind. And it's just like,
so
you got
we
stranger
did-
danger. I'm feeling stranger danger.
Yeah, so it's the way it's worded, it's not exactly so. We did discuss this. And it's not that anybody can just come in and administer, we always will check to see, make sure that they're the parent or guardian and able to administer any kind of drug. But as it comes to Narcan or anything like that,
Oh, I'm not even talking about, in an emergency situation. I'm talking about just on a daily basis. I mean, I totally understand that there is a constraint for medical personnel on school sites, and the necessity for a student to have that medication in a timely fashion is certainly important. What I'm questioning isn't so much whether or not we have trained personnel to administer that medication for them, be it a teacher or an educator or an administration. That's fine. They've been vetted. But to have a parent who's not there say, oh, well, my boyfriend can come and give the child medication is, without vetting, is rather troublesome.
Is that standard policy? Is that recommended?
I don't think that's
Verbiage.
exactly how I interpret the language. Parents or guardians can come and,
Right, as named by the parent.
yeah.
And that's all it says.
Good, go ahead. Mhm.
Okay, and that,
The parent
the
has
form
to
details.
fill out a form. Thank you.
okay.
And as another item of note, although this is not something that will be part of the action, we do have a new nurse who has worked in this field many years, and she also recommended that the district purchase additional AED defibrillators. We have 3 in the district, but she would like to see each site and then 2 at our middle schools, because they do have gymnasiums in them, to have AEDs. And so this doesn't have to have board action, but we will be purchasing those to have those at our sites as part of her recommendation, as part of this kind of this bigger conversation about reviving students who might be in AEDs. It would be cardiac arrest. This specific board action has to do with the opioid Narcan conversation.
I do appreciate having the resources on hand at each school site to provide the services that our students may need in case of emergency. So I think it's a good idea.
I do agree, because I mean,
It's
w-
more,
this is a new day and age, and we do have to realize, as much as hard as it's heartbreaking as it is, there is stuff out there that, it could be slipped into our kids' drink, whatever. And so we need to be prepared because personnel, it could mean matter of seconds. So if we have that on hand, I think it's a great idea. So thank you, Bill, for
Mhm.
suggesting that and bringing that to the table.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so we need to vote. We need not to vote yet. We need a motion to adopt the revised board policies.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, so let's vote. Sandra Barnes, how do you vote?
aye.
Jessica Anthony,
Yes.
Bill LeGrand,
Yes.
Lisa Torres,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So motion carries with 5 yes votes. Thank you. And then item G is nominations for CSBA's delegate assembly.
It is that time of the year that we can now take nominations for the CSBA Delegate Assembly. We have been fortunate to have our own president who was part of that process. And I know Sandra Barnes is in years past also. And it's at this time that we can take nominations for this position if so desired.
I've enjoyed being a part of it. It's a really powerful opportunity. I don't necessarily want to put my name out there to be nominated again, just because I think that it might, if we could get somebody else who would have more time to invest in reading the proposed legislature and researching, might have a better impact than I have had. So.
And I do want to let the board know that we don't have to make a nomination from our board. This is for regions 4 through 8. So they take
4B.
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 Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
we're considered region 4B.
Yeah, excuse me. Sorry, my glasses are getting a little out of touch. But we don't have to have a nomination from our board.
We don't have to, but it would be nice to have a say. You get a voice. And
Our
that's
district
what's
does.
really nice. And our district or our region did not have delegates from every area until now. Now I believe it's full, but I would hate for this to be unfilled. And if we don't nominate from our board and nobody else nominates, then I would put my name in the ring again. But if somebody is interested, I would encourage you to put your name out there. Any board member interested? Okay, so at this time, we have no nominees to put forward for the CSBA Delegate Assembly.
Do we have any other nominations from other districts?
We don't know yet.
Yes, we don't know.
Okay.
So what does this actually entail? Do you have to like go to different meetings?
There's 2 meetings a year and then preparation for those meetings.
Or where are those meetings held?
One is in Sacramento and one is in San Diego just before the School Board Association Educator Conference. It's 2 days before. And everything is paid for by the district. There is no outside expense.
Thank you, Kim, for sharing that. with
Okay,
us.
so at this time, we will have no nominees to put forward for that.
No.
All right, item 9A, to approve the revised substitute management, nurse and psychologist salary schedules.
With the board approving salary increases and changing salary schedules, these salary schedules are dependent on the salary schedules that you've increased. So they also need to change to, because they're, based on step 1 or whatever they're based on. So this just adjusts these substitute salary schedules to be where they're supposed to be.
That reflects the 10% increase.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, is there a motion to approve the revised salary schedules?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Sandra Barnes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jessica Anthony,
Yes.
Bill LeGrand,
Yes.
Lisa Torres?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so motion carries with 5 yes votes. And at this time, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:43. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.